Many people don't have the opportunity to go to the gym, be it because of financial reasons, be it because they do not feel comfortable enough to go there yet, even though they might not be a beginner anymore. They don't want to be in a social setting when training or bettering themselves, which is why I am here. One more important thing, we are going to be doing closed kinetic chain exercises instead of open kinetic chain exercises. Closed chain kinetic exercises are compound movements or full body exercises. Open kinetic chain exercises are isolation exercises. And we're not going to be isolating any of our muscles. If you're interested in why we do closed kinetic chain exercises, stay till the end. We'll get into it a little bit more. If you want numbers, how many repetitions, how many sets of what, and how to mix and match exercises, the main part of this video is that we can do it with zero equipment. Just the clothes on our backs, or you know what I mean. Now, as you can see, we have divided the body into lower and upper body, and we're going to be starting with our quads. We're going to be doing quadriceps. We're going to be doing hamstrings, Gastrognemius, Soleus, and we're going to be including our glutes. Exercise number 1, just for a warm-up, classic lunges. Very easy, very simple to get into, and very powerful. Instead of using both legs, we're using a single leg. Our legs take a lot of effort to get bigger and to get stronger because they carry our weight the whole day, all around the globe, or the flat earth, or whatever you believe. We need to push them, which is why we're going to be dividing it up and doing mostly single leg exercises. We're not going to get into pistol squats for now. Switching from the first lunge, there are front lunges, there are back lunges, as you can see right here. And be sure to stay upright in your upper body, and we're going to be doing combinations, front and back lunges. And we're going to be adding some explosiveness, front and back lunges, including knee raises. So now we have closed the whole chain. We started out with our lower legs, and we went up all the way through our gastroc, through our soleus, through our quads, up our hip flexors, and we've included our glutes. If the exercise is too easy, you can increase range of motion, as you can see here, by putting something up that you step onto. The more we increase the range of motion, the harder the exercise is, and this is a great way to progressively overload without increasing the amounts of repetitions or the amounts of sets. These are called elevated lunges. Then we have Bulgarian split squats, and here is another thing you can do to increase the intensity. Put in some explosiveness. So we're going to add a little bit of jumping, and you're going to see after a couple of sets that it's not as easy as it looks. Something to be mindful of when you're doing elevated lunges, you want to touch your knee all the way to the ground, which is why we increase the range of motion to begin with. If you can't do that while not elevated, then you're not ready yet. So next up, we're going to move on to the conventional squat. Our femur is supposed to be parallel to the ground, which means that we go low. And we're going to add our pelvic tilt, so we have some extra glute activation. We have the gluteus medius and the gluteus maximus included. As you can see here, the pelvic tilt is a really important thing to learn, because if you don't know how to do this, most squats you're doing will not give you all the benefit that you're supposed to get from it. Depending on how far apart we stand, we have more adduction or abduction, meaning we have more the inside of our quads or the outside of our glutes included. And then we're going to move on to the Cossack squat, which is an advanced exercise, and you're going to notice it's getting a little bit harder. Afterwards, we're going to move on to some explosive squats just to push out the last little bit of explosive energy we have, and then we're going to do some static sitting either without or on the wall. Depends totally on you and how much strength you have left. Also depending again on how close our legs are. We're going to have some more adductors or abductors inclusion in our leg work. Now that we're done with the front part of our legs, we're going to go to our hamstrings and our glutes and our spinal erectors. We're going to start out with glute bridges. Put your feet close up, put your back on the ground, see that your shoulders are in full contact with the ground at all times. Once you have raised, you can see the range of motion here is short, which doesn't matter because it's going to get harder with each exercise. Include our pelvic tilt, so we have real glute activation in all of its muscle parts. Once we've done some activation, and once we've done a couple of sets without, or even just one set, we can move on to single leg glute bridges, which makes it harder. Be sure to stay parallel with your pelvis to the ground. You have this actual activation of your hamstrings and your gastroc and your soleus. Then again, we're gonna increase range of motion. If you don't have anything put there, you can increase repetitions or you can progressively overload. Time under tension or more repetitions, that's totally up to you. We're gonna increase the range of motion. We're gonna go through all three of them again. Both legs, we're gonna do single leg, left side, right side. We have a lot of hamstring activation, which is amazing because usually we would need to isolate the hamstrings to get as much activation as we would with this exercise. And this makes it absolutely perfect to do at home, and you're gonna see some amazing results. And we're gonna add one more static exercise. Straighten your legs, turn them outwards so we have enough glute inclusion. These are supposed to be for our hamstrings, for our glutes, and for our spinal erectors, which means we want to activate all of them together. Now we're done with leg exercises. You can either do that for one single day, or you can do the whole body together and then repeat this 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending on how much time and how much energy you have. Intermission! I know we're not done yet, but if you've benefited from this video by now, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what to do better. Let me know what I did good. Let me know anything. Subscribe. Come here. Subscribe. Subscribe. We've made it to our back exercises. Our Latissimus, our traps, rhomboids, and we're gonna include our spinal erectors again. We're not isolating. So we're gonna be doing longer kinetic chain exercises, compound movements, multi-joint movements. There are so many names for this. I know all of them, but I don't want to overwhelm you with all the knowledge in my head. I'm gonna keep it at that. Now, this exercise is amazingly hard. We're gonna use our first piece of equipment, and that's gonna be a t-shirt. Well, I never wear t-shirts, which is why I took a sock. 'Tis the season, or 'twas the season. It's actually 16 degrees here in the middle of Europe, in the middle of winter, which is not that good, I think. But we're gonna grab a sock or a t-shirt or whatever you have, just a piece of cloth. We're gonna put it on the ground because we want some sliding motion. We're gonna be sliding up and down there. I don't know why I did that. We're gonna put that sock on the ground. We're gonna be putting both knees on the sock, and then we're gonna be sliding. You have your hands up front, and the further you go back, flattening your stomach and your chest, the more range of motion you have to pull in. We're activating our lats perfectly. We're activating our traps. Our spinal erectors are in full flexion the whole time throughout the exercise. We're gonna be adding some rhomboids too by adducting our shoulders. Always be sure to include your pet in your exercises if you have one. If you don't have one, get one, because it's gonna be a lot more fun train with your pet than would be by yourself, because I don't have any friends. Anyway, you might have friends, I don't. Now moving on to the next exercise, and this one is one you might not have seen before. We're gonna be targeting our traps, our rhomboids, and our rear delts together in a single exercise while still keeping the flexion in our lower back active. We're gonna be laying down on our back. We're gonna open our arms sideways to keep our elbows on the ground, adduct our shoulders, pull them together to raise up our body, and you're gonna feel the tension in your rhomboids and in your traps. And what you can do is either for repetitions, or you can build an isometric holds within this exercise, or do just both. And then we're gonna move on to the rest of the back exercises. For one, we're gonna activate our spinal erectors with just an exercise before we move on to the arm raises. We're gonna be having straight up arm raises, Y raises, T raises. We want to include our rear delts as much as possible so we don't have to isolate them. We're gonna be doing different angles for our arms, including our lats, our rhomboids, our traps, and our spinal erector. All I see is what we could be after all that we've been through. Some isometric holds, some raises backwards, just in case we didn't hit those traps at the top perfectly. You can see a guide on the side how adduction and abduction works in our shoulders. afterwards, we're gonna be moving on to our chest and arms. That's what so many people actually want to see and actually want to do at home. But the other exercises are important too. Once we get to our arms, I'm gonna go through them really quickly because you can stop at any point and check them out. We have multiple push-up variations, and we're gonna start with one of the harder ones and then move outward. We're gonna change the position of our hands with each different push-up variation, starting with the diamond push-ups, moving on to triceps push-ups and the conventional push-ups, opening up all the way for archer and typewriter push-ups. And now comes the cool part, because each different variation of those push-ups also target different muscle groups. Typewriter includes the biceps in our push-up work, which is really uncommon because the biceps has a pulling motion and the triceps has a pushing motion, which is why it's called a push up. We're gonna include pulling motions in our push-ups. Have you seen that before? That is amazing. You can just do it at home. Do it at home. We're gonna go through the different variations of push-ups, and we're gonna include scapular push-ups too, just so you have some inclusion and some motor function increasing in your shoulders and shoulder blades. You're learning to control your shoulder blades. I think that's what shoulder blade control looks like. You did it. We're done with 90% of our bodies. The only thing we're gonna be adding now is core exercises. We already had the core. In all of those exercises, we had core inclusion. We do multi-joint exercises. Those include the hip joints, the shoulder joints, and everything in between. Now again, we're going to be going through the ab exercises really quickly because it's easy. We're going to start out with upper abs, and we're going to switch lower abs, upper abs. Going to do diagonals first to include our obliques and really short range of motion. Once we're done with that, a warm-up exercise, we're going to be doing sit-ups. Pull our legs close, sit up all the way to the middle, to the left, to the side, again, because we want to increase the oblique inclusion. We're going to also do straight leg pull-ups to include some stretching where we touch our toes and go back again. And the benefit of that is, since it's a dynamic movement, that it's much easier to include the stretch, just like a ballet dancer, than it would be when we do static stretching. And we have knee pull-ins, we have leg raises, we have leg raises including butt raises, which means we have to put in much more control and control our negative movement as good as possible so we don't hurt ourselves. Then we're going to do some dynamic movements, such as you can see here. We're going to do this one. We're going to be doing this one. And to finish it up, we're going to be doing straight up oblique exercises like this. So now we're done with all the exercises. How are we going to mix and match for a good training regimen? For the people that don't have that much time on hand throughout the week, I would recommend doing a full body training session like this one, where you can do each exercise you've seen. You can do 2 sets, 12 repetitions. You're gonna think that's really easy. Try it out. See how you feel. I filmed this yesterday. I have insane DOMs. For those of you who don't know what DOMs is, those are DOMs. Not this DOM, those DOMs. If you actually have the time to split it up, I would recommend what you do is lower body, upper body, each of those twice a week, because we already know, according to most studies, twice a week to 3 times a week is the perfect amount to train each of those bigger muscle groups. Twice a week, split up in lower and upper body. The cool thing about that is you're never gonna be having a straight up lower upper body training day here, because you guessed it, we almost did only compound movements that include the whole body with an additional stressor on the one single big muscle group that we've chosen. So when we do squats, we've chosen our quads and our glutes, but we also have our lower legs, we have our lower back included. When it comes to progressive overload, very important. If you don't know what that is, check it out. To progressively overload with body weight training, there is a couple of things you can do. Most people, what they think when they think progressive overload, oh yeah, increase weights. But you can also do increase sets, increase reps, increase time under tension, decrease breaks in between, increase explosiveness. All those things you can do to progressively overload without adding a single additional weight. We've gone through all the exercises. We've gone through how to mix and match. We've gone through how many sets and how many repetitions, and we've gone through why you should do what you should do. I really hope you guys benefited from this video. If you did, please leave a comment, leave a like, let me know what I can do better, let me know what you want to see here more. Whenever you guys ask for a video, I don't mind, I'll do it straight. Also consider subscribing, it helps me out a lot and it shows me which video brought which people to me so I can do more of their content. Guys, I love you, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Captain Cairo, peace out.